Today on Sports Central, we go over a college football game preview and prediction on the big matchup coming up here in Week 9 of this 2021 college football season. And it'll be for the Michigan Wolverines and the Michigan State Spartans. Top 10 matchup coming up here in Week 9. And it's going to be a crucial game for both these teams. I mean, it's got Big Ten East implications, but not only that, it's got college football playoff implications. Both these teams are very much in the college football playoff picture right now, as both teams are still undefeated at 7-0. And obviously, the winner of this game is going to be one step closer to being in the college football playoffs. So, yeah, huge matchup coming up here in Week 9 for both these teams. We'll be going over a full game preview and prediction on this matchup here today, starting out with your team trends. Michigan last week beat Northwestern 33-7. Solid win. It was close at first, but Michigan pulled away and got the win by a significant margin, and they are 7-0 with a 7-game winning streak. Michigan State is coming off of a bye week, which could definitely give them an advantage here. I mean, they've got a lot of time to prepare for this huge matchup coming up here this weekend. But in their previous game, they beat Indiana on the road 20-15. Solid win. The Hoosiers, of course, got destroyed by Ohio State this past weekend. But yeah, Michigan State, of course, I mean, this is still a very solid football team at 7-0. And I mean, this is as good as the Spartans have been since, I mean, it's been several years since the Spartans have been to this level. So, I mean, it's been a great season for them. And I mean, it would be insane for Michigan State if they could get a big win over their big rival, being Michigan, and vice versa for the Wolverines as well. Game will be on Saturday, October 30th in East Lansing, Michigan. So Spartans do have the home field advantage here, and it'll be at noon Eastern time. Spread currently has Michigan by 3.5. Over-under is 51 as of right now, and your FPI is going Michigan here 56%. So Wolverines are favored, but slightly for this matchup, which is expected. Of course, Michigan does have a higher strength of schedule, and they've also looked a bit more dominant in the games that they've played. But then again, Michigan State has also performed outstanding. And in the end, when it comes down to records, both teams are at 7-0. In series history, Michigan leads at 71-37. So Michigan obviously has had a significantly better history in this matchup. Win streak, though, is Michigan State by 1. So Spartans did win the last matchup, but in the last 5, it's split up almost 50-50. Michigan leads at 3-2. And honestly, over the past decade, we've seen some extremely memorable matchups with this rivalry here. And it's been back and forth over the past decade, especially. Like, I mean, between, say, 2008 and 2015, I mean, I think Michigan State won it all of those years except for one. So, yeah, Spartans, I mean, it's been a split series, especially recently in the past couple of decades. Here's your stat comparison. Michigan's got 37 points per game heading into this matchup, 14 points allowed, 189 pass yards a game, 253 rush yards. Then for yards allowed, 182 passing, and then 116 for rushing. As for the Spartans, 34 points per game, 18 points allowed, 251 pass yards a game, 200 rush yards, and then for yards allowed, 285 passing, and then 121 rushing. So obviously passing defense for Michigan State has been, it looks like the primary issue, especially looking at it statistically. 285 average pass yards have been allowed by Michigan State's secondary and in the passing defense so far for this season. But for Michigan here, obviously Michigan has been more of a rushing offense this season. I mean, McNamara is certainly a talented quarterback, but this team has been primarily a rushing team rushing offense led by Corum. And of course, you got Kenneth Walker on the Michigan State side, potentially one of the best running backs, if not the best, in the nation. He's been outstanding so far this year, and that's going to be something that Michigan's defense is really going to have to focus on, is containing Kenneth Walker. I mean, he is a major impact player and probably the most talented player on Michigan State's roster right now. Previous matchups as well, Michigan, of course, beat Northwestern there 33-7, beat Nebraska by 3, 32-29 on the road in a primetime game. Solid win there. Beat Wisconsin 38-17, and Wisconsin, of course, is coming off of a huge win against a Purdue team that just knocked off Iowa. So Badgers are, I mean, obviously they've got some offensive issues, but I mean, that was a solid win there without a doubt for Michigan. Beat Rutgers 20-13. That was a closer game than expected. And then, of course, you beat Northern Illinois 63-10. No issues there. As for Michigan State, beat Indiana 20-15. Beat Rutgers on the road 31-13. Beat Western Kentucky 48-31. Beat Nebraska in overtime 23-20. And beat Miami 38-17. And I mean, that Miami game, that's really what put Michigan State on notice. I mean, that's what really caught the attention of a lot of people, including myself, when they went to Miami and knocked them off 38-17. And ever since then, I mean, this football team has been excellent. They've been consistent. And even though it was close against Indiana a couple of weeks ago, I mean, this team has looked very dominant otherwise. And they've played solid football all season long. Some key points for this one, of course, Michigan. They've performed well in road games. If you look at their road history so far this season, I mean, Michigan, they've been a solid football team, beating Nebraska on the road in a night game, and then, of course, beating Wisconsin 38-17. Don't forget about that as well. They've only played 2 road games, though, in their first 7 games, so that is something to note there. But in the 2 games that they've played on the road, Michigan has done just fine, so keep that in mind there. Rushing core has been outstanding for Michigan, led by Blake Corum. He's had a great season so far. And a loss for either team here, it doesn't matter whether it's Michigan or Michigan State, it's going to heavily be detrimental to your playoff hopes. I mean, obviously in the Big Ten East, you got to win the Big Ten if you're going to be in the college football playoff right now. And that Big Ten East is extremely competitive. And I mean, you got Michigan, Michigan State, and Ohio State. Those are your 3 teams that are in contention for the division right now. And it's more than likely going to come down to 2 teams after this game here. Penn State, it was 4 last week when Penn State was in contention with only 1 loss in conference, but they just lost to Illinois. So Nittany Lions they've got a much tougher road now to the college football playoff and to the Big Ten championship game in general. But yeah, for both these teams are definitely in contention right now. Winner has got a good chance. I mean, I think both teams still have to play Ohio State, so we'll find out more when both teams play off against the Buckeyes later on in the season. But obviously, looking at this game right now, this is just as crucial of a matchup as it will be when both these teams play off against Ohio State. Michigan State, Kenneth Walker, potentially the best running back in the nation. I think he is personally. I mean, if you look at his stats, through 7 games, he's put up nearly 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns. He's been nothing short of outstanding. So, I mean, this is a running back that Michigan is going to have to really worry about. Rushing defense so far for Michigan has been pretty good for the most part. But that's definitely something that you'll have to worry about, is containing Kenneth Walker. And Peyton Thorne, I mean, he's continuing to improve as well. He's been the big surprise player of this 2021 season. I mean, going in, not many people even knew who Peyton Thorne was. And quite honestly, I didn't expect him to be as good or anywhere near as good as he has been. But yeah, Peyton Thorne, he's a really good player. And I think Michigan State's got a great quarterback with him for the future. And once again, Michigan State does have the home field advantage. So that does help them in the end, without a doubt. But with that, let's get to the prediction here for Michigan and Michigan State. I'm going to go Wolverines here. 20-27 is my predicted final score. And as I said before, I could easily see Michigan State winning this game. They're very capable of pulling out a huge win here. I mean, they've got a very talented football team, and both teams are very talented at 7-0. It's an equally matched game just about, and Michigan State's also the home team. You got to take that into consideration. But Michigan's rush defense, their defensive line, I think is going to be enough for them to contain Kenneth Walker, and I think this team will be good enough to hold them off defensively and offensively. I mean, Michigan is a very good football team as well. I mean, the rushing game, and McNamara is playing decent ball right now. So I definitely think Michigan is capable of winning this game, and I'm going to go with them here, 28-27. Probability 55% for the Wolverines. So as I said before, almost a coin toss. I could easily see either team winning this game, and whoever wins this game is going to be in very good shape. I mean, both teams still have to play Ohio State down the road, but I mean, the winner of this game is one step further once again to getting to the college football playoffs. So that's why it's such a crucial one here. But over-under is 51. I'm taking the over just slightly for this matchup at 55 total points. But with that, let me know your thoughts on this matchup. Once again, this is a huge one coming up here in week 9. So it'll be fun to see how it turns out. But I appreciate you guys all watching as always. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. Catch you on the next one.